This is the March 16th, 2021 meeting of the Acushnet Public Library Board of Trustees. We are being audio taped and videotaped. I am opening the meeting by roll call vote. Once I call your name, please respond here. Diane?
Here.
Steve?
Here.
Nancy?
Here.
Jerry?
Here.
And also on the call, we have the director of the Acushnet Library, Dina Brasser.
Here.
Okay, let's see. We do have a quorum today, and our first item on the agenda is the secretary's report from February 16th. Does anyone have any clarifications to the minutes or any questions? Nobody? All right, we need a motion.
I make a motion to accept the secretary's report.
I'll second it.
All in favor by roll call vote. Diane?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Nancy?
Aye.
Jerry?
Aye.
And myself, aye. Thank you. Next item is the budget.
So I have a to-date budget for you. As you can see, we're 71.9% spent out. So for mid-March, that's right in line with where we want to be. We're almost at the fourth quarter. So I think we're good where we are. I have nothing to add for salary unless you have any questions, but I think that's all pretty, at this point in the fiscal year, I think you can see that's pretty much where it needs to be. In terms of operating, we don't have the current month's budget, the current month's bill from Eversource. So that energy line looks the same as it did the last time we met. That should be coming. I expected it to come already, but it hasn't. So that's why there's no change there. The only line that I think I would like to just quickly mention is the office supplies line. That's normally, or pre-COVID, was at $2,000 for a very long time. When we needed to make some cuts for FY21, we cut that budget down to that line down to $1,000. And we've done really well. We had when we spoke a year ago, we had a nice supply stock, and I thought we could make it through the whole fiscal year without any issues. But at this point in the fiscal year, we're seeing that we need to spend a little bit more from that line. So again, as a reminder, we still have a little bit of an overage in that sales line. I had spent some of the money from the sales line for material, and I left some of that overage for other unexpected expenses. And I think we'll be seeing the office supplies line benefit from that, if that makes sense. But other than that, I think we're good. I mean, even with that, I still think it's good, but but unless you have any specific questions, that's all I have to mention about the budget as of today.
I don't have any questions. Anyone else?
No.
We need a motion.
Motion to accept.
Second it.
All in favor by roll call. Diane?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Nancy?
Aye.
Jerry?
Aye.
And myself, aye. Thank you. Old business on the agenda, the reopening plan.
So this is the bulk of our conversation today. And before I really get into it, I just wanted to review with you all the fact that today, March 16th, is 1 year since we closed the building to the public. This is, the morning of March 16th, I went to the selectmen's meeting. A few of you were also there as well. We spoke on the reasons why we felt it was necessary to shut down the building. And, from the meeting, I texted the staff who were here to tell them to put up the signs saying we weren't opening at 10 o'clock. Never did I ever think that a year later, this building would still be closed for the most part to the public. So I do think that's important just to note that in part of our conversation today about moving forward with reopening. I also just want it to be just spoken between us that and I've said that a year ago as well, and I've said it within the past year, but no librarian wants to close a library. Like, I just need to state that. There's nobody here on the staff who is happy that we've had to shut down. We're grateful that the town has allowed us to be closed, and we are grateful that we've been able to offer the takeout service, which so many of our patrons have responded well to. We're so lucky that the building is designed in such a way that we can provide that service through the windows, so that our patrons are still getting face-to-face interactions with us, versus, you know, and I know of other libraries where they're not as fortunate with their setup. And so they, you know, put a table on outside with bags for people to pick up. And that's great that they've been able to do that. But I do think it's a plus that we've still been able to offer face-to-face service. And so, you know, while I say we didn't want to close and we haven't wanted to be closed for the year, we're also thankful that we've been able to still provide our primary core services to the public through the takeout program. I've been asked by multiple patrons, more so in the past few weeks than in the past year, questions like, have you considered reopening? I've been considering reopening since we closed on March 16th of last year. Like, this is what I think about a lot. I mean, I don't want to say all the time, but most of my work-related thoughts swirl around, when do we get this going? When do we have this happen? And, you know, we are just 1 month from when they brought, the Board of Selectmen brought us back from our partial remote plan, where we were separated into teams and we only had 2 or 3 of us in the building at a time. I mean, we're just 1 month out from that. So yes, while it suddenly seems like everything is reopening and everyone's talking about expanding services and you know, suddenly we're having, you know, everyone's getting itchy. It's, you know, a little bit, I think, of spring fever, cabin fever, vaccinations happening. Like, so, you know, people are expecting that things happen, you know, 2 weeks ago, but this has to be a very careful process. Like, I just feel that this is important to note for the discussion. We can't, you know, even if I wanted to just wake up today and say, oh, today we're going to open the doors, that's not how it works. You know, it's, you all have to approve the plan. The Board of Health has had to approve the plan. The Board of Selectmen are actually meeting right now, and they will also be discussing reopening town buildings. So, you know, it's not just up to me and the people who work in the building. It's a multi-step process. And I think that's just important to know also for anyone who may possibly be watching this. We want to open, you know, we've been talking about it for months. It just can't, you know, I think we're finally at the point, all that said, I think we're finally at the point where the Board of Health agent, you know, Joe Correa for the town was actually responsive. I mean, he's always responsive to me. I don't mean it that way, but he responded well to my outline of when I shared it with him. And that's the first time that's happened, you know, that he feels like, yes, this could happen in a safe way where the employees of the library are kept safe. The people who want to come in to use the library are kept safe. So getting his approval on this has made me more comfortable to come to you all today to actually talk about taking steps forward. So I know that was a big lead in, but I just think that's the kind of stuff that we need to talk about. It can't just be, oh, you read what I wrote and you say, okay, like there has to be some, some lead into it. So that's my lead in. That said, you all saw the plan, right? It was on one of the pages of that reopening document that we've been working on since June. And essentially what I'm proposing today is that within the next couple of weeks, depending on what the town, you know, says, or the Board of Selectmen decide today, within the next couple of weeks, I don't want to give a date just in case, but within the next couple of weeks, we will reopen using a grab and go model for browsing. So essentially, we will be encouraging people to come in, see something they like, take it, check it out, go home. You know, there won't be any lingering. In other words, we had a lot of lingering that happened prior to the pandemic. I hope we will have a lot of lingering that happens post-pandemic, but we're still very much within the pandemic. So in order to do this safely, I think grab and go is our best bet. We still have no furniture for people to sit on unless you're using a computer. So, sometimes people would come and hang out for a while, read here, read a couple of chapters, decide if they would want to take the book home, that kind of thing. But that's not an option because there's nowhere to sit. There's no newspapers to read if people want to come back to the periodicals room and catch up on reading a newspaper. We don't have any right now because we suspended the subscriptions. So there's no toys in the children's room, unfortunately, which I think is going to be a huge disappointment for some people to see that that's still not happening. But we're not at that stage yet. This is a come in, check out those covers, grab what you want, check out, and you're on your way till the next time. People can still, within this model, people will still be able to use the computers by appointment. And this grab and go model, if I didn't say that yet, is also based on appointment. There will be a limited amount of people in the building at a time per the Board of Health and the building department. So we might not be following what the state's guidelines, which are just guidelines. They're not things we have to do in terms of occupancy limits. We will be well below the state's occupancy limit. And that's through conversations with both Joe Correa from the Board of Health and Jim Merritt from the building department. Patrons will be subject to a temperature check upon entering. There will be hand sanitizer at the entrance and throughout the library. We will be encouraging people to use that or to bring their own to use. And there will be, a limited window of time that they can be in the building. Essentially, I'm going to give it to you because you can read what the guidelines are for scheduling, but I would just rather give you a scenario. Say Nancy wants to come into the library Tuesday. As of Monday, for the beginning, when the work week for us begins, as of Monday, Nancy could call us and schedule a time on Tuesday to come into the building. She can't schedule for the following Tuesday, but she could schedule, she's calling on Monday, she could schedule for Tuesday the next day. So any day within that week, she could actually pick from Monday through Saturday. She chooses Tuesday. We give her an appointment for 45 minutes. She wants to come in at 11, let's say. So fine, 11 o'clock, we've got Nancy coming in. Nancy gets a phone call before she leaves the house and doesn't show up at the library until 11:15. Nancy can only be in the library until 11:45. She doesn't get, it's not 45 minutes whenever you show up. The 45-minute appointment starts at the top of the hour at 11. So if you don't come to 11:15, you still have to leave the building by 11:45. If you show up at 11:30, you still have to leave the building by 11:45. And the staff and I are going to work out how we're actually, enforcing that once people are in here. But we have a good plan for enforcing that. So Nancy comes in late. She doesn't feel she got to do everything she wants to do. She wants to come back in later on Tuesday. Nope, it's once a day. So you could make an appointment to come in on Wednesday or Thursday, Friday or Saturday, but it's just one time a day. So that's my scenario of explaining a little bit of how that'll work. To start, we're only going to do appointments by phone. So people will need to call us in order to make the appointment. And they can call for the same day or any day within that week to start. Once we get a feel for it, I think we could expand that in the same way we've done with our takeout, because when we started takeout, that was all by phone. But then we eventually moved it to email. We have the Google form that people can fill out. So we might be able to adjust this at some point beyond just calling us on the phone, but maybe using a Google form to register for an appointment or using our email. And of course, we are still going to offer takeout because that I think will still be the way that some people want to use the library, and we completely respect that, and we want to encourage that. So I think we've got it set up that we have enough people available that we can, I think we'll have enough people that we can do both. And if there's a time where maybe for some reason for an hour, we don't have enough people in the building, to do both, then we can just put a sign at the takeout window, telling people to ring the doorbell, which is just a few feet from that window. And then one of us will come to the room, so I think that's a good solution to being able to have both even when we have limited staff in the building. So that's sort of the bones of the plan. And I won't say anything else about it until, I get through any questions you might have or concerns you might have about anything I've mentioned so far.
I have a question. I have a question as far as, I'm sure you've worked this out already. How do you handle bathroom use? Because you've had people use computers. What is, I know you have a policy for that.
We do. So we have 2 restrooms in the building. We've converted one to a staff-only restroom, and then we've converted the other to the public restroom. And we lock the door, we leave the key at the desk, at the information desk. And if someone needs to use the bathroom, we let them know that when they come in, that they need to get a key if they need to use the restroom. But we also have signage up on the door that lets them know they can get the key at the desk. So it's one person in the restroom at a time. And that's worked out fine for the computer use appointments. We've had no issue. We've definitely had people using the restroom, and there's been no issue. That's another reason that we're keeping the appointments for 45 minutes at the top, starting at the top of the hour, because at 11:45, when the people who have been in the building have left, we will use the 15 minutes of time in between people leaving and people coming in to disinfect the restrooms and to do any other disinfecting that we can do at that moment. I mean, that might just involve wiping down the counters, which we hope that we could also do between patrons, but it will give us a chance to just sort of do a sweep of the building for disinfecting as best as we can.
Perfect. Nice job, Dana.
Thanks, Nancy. Got a good crew here with me, so. And there's a lot of guidance out there, from the state level to, what local libraries who have already reopened, what they're doing, I've been able to see a lot of what's worked, what hasn't worked, and then you sort of just take that. And the same way when we developed the reopening plan to begin with last year, that's how we've gone for this, by appointment, thing. And the by appointment, I don't know how long that'll last. I say to start because we just don't want to be overwhelmed. I mean, we haven't had people in here for a year. The staff has gotten very used to not having people in the building, and myself included when I say that. And we need to acclimate to how we're going to work in the building when we add in other people. Like that's going to be a bit of practice for us too, to figure out how we can best do our work with people in the building. And one of our top pieces of our work and one of our top priorities is serving the people who come in the building, but we need to make sure we can continue to do that safely. And so opening for the computer use has shown us that we can do that, and we could do that successfully. And so now that's why I think, okay, we can move on to this next piece. And I really have complete faith in the idea and in the staff to pull this off successfully. Any other questions for me?
I was just gonna say that. Does anyone else have any questions? I don't have any. I think it was a well thought out plan.
Thanks. I mean, we might experience some trial and error. We might, find out that, we could have a few more people in the building than the number we start with. We might, find out that, maybe we can't do the appointments on every hour. Maybe we need to space that out a little bit more. Like it's going the same way takeout was, we had a month of trial and error for takeout. We started takeout real small with, I think it was 20 hours a week when it started. And within a month, we had bumped up to 36 hours a week. We, added the nights. So we might see that within like the first month or two that we can make some adjustments to, maybe we don't do it by appointment for all that long. Maybe we just do it by appointment to start. And if that goes well, maybe we don't do it by appointment. And we
Have you
also don't want 30 people showing up at once because we can't have that many people in the building. So the appointments will help control that too.
Have you talked with many of the other libraries?
Yeah, I'm in communication with the other directors in the area. If not every other week, then, at least once a month we do meet, and the network coordinates meetings as well as there's a group of us on our own that coordinate just meetings amongst ourselves. And everyone who's opened, that there's been no, knock on wood, there's been no incidents for those libraries. They've been able to do it really well. I think people get, from just going out to the stores that, the mask is going to be required the whole time you're in the building. That's there's no exception to that, really. Like and if you can't wear a mask and you still want library services, then we're happy to offer you takeout. We can get you anything that you need from this building if you can't physically, wear the mask to come in for medical reasons. But there's been no, the libraries that have already opened, they've been very encouraging about opening because there's been high success.
Good.
Yeah. And for a long time, it's just been a couple in the area that have been open, but now Dartmouth opened last week for browsing by appointment. Mattapoisett opened last week by appointment also for browsing. So it's starting, to happen. So I think we're at a point too which is probably why we're getting asked so often over the past few weeks, we're at a point where people are expecting to be able to come in, and we want people to come in. Like I said, I mean, this is the past year has been nobody wanted this, like, what I mean? So, we do want people to come in, but like I said, also, it's a multi-step process, and we're not, the Acushnet Library isn't a, small business or corporation who on its own can decide we're going to do this. This is, involves other town officials and you all saying that the time is now right to do this. So, it does feel like good timing. The other piece to it that I want to mention is that we offer takeout for 36 hours a week. So we've been able to maintain, we pre-pandemic where we're open until 8 o'clock. We haven't been able to go to 8 o'clock takeout because the staff still needs time once takeout closes to disinfect the building, to deal with the material that's been in quarantine for a week. Like there's things that happen behind the scenes. And that's been great to have that happen in the 7 to 8 o'clock hour. Same way we used to open on Mondays and Wednesdays, you might remember, at 10, and takeout doesn't start until 11. Again, because we need that prep time. So we've just been able to do 36 hours of service. One of our state requirements is that we be open for 40 hours, and we haven't been at that. The state has not enforced that requirement this year. They're just encouraging be open as many hours as possible. But I would like to get us to that 40-hour mark at least. Pre-pandemic, we were open 44 hours a week. So I would really like to get us to that 40-hour mark. And so I'm also looking to make some adjustments to the hours. And so starting with this browsing by appointment, we would be open, or the building would be open Monday through Thursday from 11 to 7. So we would still have 4 nights until 7 o'clock, giving people who work until 5 or 6 the opportunity to get here. And we would go from only having 2 mornings, well, we have Saturday morning also, but 2 weekday mornings of service from 2 to 4, which I think has some appeal for people as well. And I think being open 8 hours a day, Monday through Thursday, allows us to spread out. I mean, we need to spread out people, obviously, but it will give more opportunity, more appointments. In other words, if we were only doing it for 4 hours a day with a limited amount of people in the building, we wouldn't be able to serve as many people. So I'm looking at Monday through Thursday, 8 hours a day, 11 to 7. And then Fridays would stay 1 to 5, which is what we normally are pre-pandemic. And that's what we offer for takeout now. And then Saturdays, 10 to 2. Pre-pandemic, we were 9 to 3 on Saturdays. But again, the 10 to 2 allows staff the hour before and the hour after for doing what we need to do, falling in that category of how to staff and run the building during a pandemic. So that gives us the opportunity to do that in those hours. So that's what I'm looking to do with the hours too. And because I don't know that this is a permanent change. I would say there's some permanence for the immediate future to these hours. So that's something you would also need to approve today, is adjusting the hours. And again, if you have questions about that or don't agree with that, please, ask them or let me know. But that gets us to 40 hours right there. So we would be meeting the state requirement.
So I just have a question. So the hours that you just said, Monday through Thursday, 11 to 7, Friday 1 to 5, and Saturday 10 to 2, that would be when the library is open. So that would be for takeout as well?
Yes.
As the library being open.
Yes.
And then, but the staff is in there a few extra hours to get other stuff done.
Correct. The staff is in the building on average Monday through Thursday from 10 to 8. Actually, our custodian comes in at 7 in the morning. So he's here from 7 to 10 so that he can do, and he's only here 4 days a week, not the 6 days that staff is in the building. But he's in from 7 to 10 on the days where he works to disinfect the building, do his regular cleaning, but also the added layer of disinfecting that he does. The staff, most of us start to arrive around the 10 o'clock hour, and then some of us are here until 8 o'clock. So we've got that hour beforehand, and then we've got the hour on the end. On Fridays, I'm here as early as 9 o'clock on Fridays, and the staff follows soon after. And I had contemplated opening a little earlier on Fridays, but the Friday mornings are when we can get things accomplished that we can't get accomplished the rest of the week. I do a lot of my ordering on Friday mornings. I start the payroll process for the following Monday on Friday mornings. There's a lot that happens, and I'm very reluctant to give up that time because I feel like that could end up affecting the staff in a negative way if we were to give up those hours. If we find down the road that we should, then of course that's a conversation, we could have it another time, but it does give us a nice chunk of time to get things done. And we do leave at 5 o'clock on Fridays. So on Saturday mornings, that also is helpful to have people here still at 9 because they can do whatever we couldn't do at closing on 5 o'clock. So dealing with the items from quarantine, any disinfecting that needs to be done in the building, they can do that in the morning.
And then they're there till 3.
They're there till, yeah, we would still stay 9 to 3 staff wise, on those days. And when we're in the building, we do still answer the phone. So if people are still calling us, like we're in the building and we can provide service over the phone.
Right.
Just can't actually come, to the takeout window, or when we open for appointment, they can't actually come in the building, but we're still available to provide service on those hours.
Sounds good. And I'm assuming when you call to make your appointment for browsing by appointment, that even though you can only make an appointment for one time per day, you're only allowed to make one appointment at a time.
Correct. Right. We've talked about that too, the staff and I. Right. Someone could ask to make an appointment at 11 o'clock Monday morning, Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, but no, we're only going to give it to them for Monday morning. And then when they leave and get home, if they decide they want to call for the next day, then sure, if we have availability, we will put them in for the next day. But right, we're hoping that people will, at least in the beginning, be, respectful of the fact that we have a lot of people who want to get in here. So, maybe pace yourself, in other words, maybe you don't need to come in 4 days a week. Maybe you could just come in 2 days a week and get what you need, so that way we're giving other people the chance to come in. And I think once people come in and what I've heard from other libraries is you can tell people repeatedly that there's nowhere to sit, there are no newspapers, there's no toys in the children's room. And until people see that for themselves, then that's when that hits them that, oh, well, okay, maybe I could keep doing the curbside or the takeout because there's not all that much for me to do in the building. I mean, a huge draw of our building pre-pandemic is our lovely children's room with all the really cool things we have in the children's room for kids and their caregivers to do while they're here. And we don't have those things in the room right now. So, and that's another piece of it is, yes, please come in with your child and pick out books, you know, because that is a piece of the library experience that's been missing for certain over the past year is the ability to pick out your own books when, you know, by looking at them. But you're not probably going to stay all that long because after you do that, that's it. There's nothing else to do. So I think also anyone who might be thinking off the bat, they want multiple appointments in the week, they're probably going to realize they don't need to come in multiple times a week. At least that's the experience that other libraries are having.
Plus, it's not like you're limited to checking out just one book. So it's not like you have to go in, grab one and leave. I mean, you can check out 5 and then, you know, be on your way.
You check out 10. You could, you know, you really could stockpile, and maybe you get home and you realize that, you know, only 2 of them are what you want to invest your time in, and you immediately return the other 8 that you know, just drive by and put them in the Dropbox. Like, but you've had the chance at least to browse. I mean, another piece of browsing, we're doing our best right now when there's downtime. The staff and I have been going through the collection and trying to find ways to have as much of it be visible with as little touching as possible. I mean, our new book table in the past, you know, we would just have a row of new books on the table on their sides so that you could see the title and, you know, possibly the author's name, depending on the stickering and the layout of the book. But we now have those all faced out on stands so that you can see the cover, you can see the author's name, the title, even though the, you know, the saying, don't judge a book by its cover, everyone judges a book by its cover. So if it was on its side and you couldn't see the cover, you know, you would pick it up, look at the cover, and we, you know, put it right back down immediately without having any idea what the book was about. But we see that happen all the time. So now we've got them all faced out so that when you come in, you might see 10 books. Oh, that looks great. That looks great. That looks great. And like I said, you get home and you open them up and you're like, nah, maybe only a couple of these are, you know, are of actual interest to me. And then you just return the other ones. No harm. You know, that's the beauty of a library. You can borrow a bunch of stuff and maybe only a few of the things will actually resonate with you. And then there's no harm because it didn't cost you anything. So we're hoping, and we're doing that in the children's room also. We're also pulling out books that were published in 2020 that, you know, we told people about over the phone, you know, through takeout, but again, they didn't get to see it themselves. So maybe if they can see it, they'll still want it. So we're doing a lot of face outs on tables in the children's room that, you know, of course, are 6 feet apart, but we're putting that all out there. So trying to have as much be seen while encouraging not necessarily picking up a whole bunch of stuff or, you know, trying to limit touching as much as possible. So I think that'll work well too. I hope.
I think it's a good plan.
I
Like
hope
you said,
so.
you might have to tweak as you go along, but I think with any plan, I think that's, and I think everybody's doing that everywhere. I think
Right.
that's what people are just gonna have to keep doing.
Yep. Yep.
Does anyone else have any other questions about the reopening plan? Comments? Concerns? No? Anything? Okay, so I believe we need a motion for the reopening plan and also the adjustment of the library hours.
Correct.
Anyone?
Do you want separate motions?
You can put them all together.
I think
Yeah,
it can be the same. Yeah.
Together? Okay, then I'll make a motion on the plan and on the adjusted hours be accepted.
I'll second it.
All in favor by roll call. Diane,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Jerry, Nancy,
Aye.
myself, aye.
Thank you. I'll for sure keep you posted on when this is going to happen. And of course, there will be a press release that we'll put out. We'll send out a newsletter. We'll advertise on social media, of course. Our website will be updated, so people will know. I mean, we're not going to do it quietly. People will know it's time. I just don't know when. I hope that it's within the next couple of weeks. I'll know more once I get to catch up with the selectmen's meeting. And I will keep you informed, of course.
Okay, the last item on the agenda is the director's report.
I'll be quick with that. Like I mentioned in the report, February, short month, but was our busiest month since September. And it just seemed like, I don't know, it was like things had been pretty quiet November, December, till like mid-January, and then bam, everything just, more people, I guess, are coming out too, or are more comfortable with picking things up. But it was great to be so busy. And March has continued in much the same way, which is great. As you know, I presented our budget to the Finance Committee on February 24th, and that went really well. I was asked to present the budget to the Board of Selectmen last Tuesday, excuse me, and Jen was also on that call. All three of the selectmen were very positive and encouraging of what we've done at the library. It was a great, Zoom meeting with them, and I really felt really good and really proud of our hard work. Once that call ended, they were very supportive of our budget requests as well, and they did approve the budget as it's been presented to them. So hopefully things continue in that way when Finance Committee gets to discussing budgets. Let's see, what else did I want to mention real quick? Oh, I did just want to mention quickly that we had talked to one of the moms who's involved with the PTO for the Acushnet Public Schools. And she firsthand has seen how the Bean Stack program that we offer has encouraged her child to log minutes, and to read and then log those minutes to earn badges, particularly the Wildcats badge that we have for Acushnet school students. And so we talked pretty casually about ways to collaborate, and that ended up turning into a separate Bean Stack challenge for Acushnet public school students. I mean, anyone can do it, but it's geared to Acushnet public school students. And Sandra created a really nice challenge on Bean Stack, where there's an opportunity to earn a lot of Wildcat badges and other badges as well. And the PTO may be offering some incentives through that, which is, I think, great. We, at least as of last Friday, 66 badges had already been earned in the first few days. It just launched on March 1st. So I think it's fun. And if anyone who may be watching this has a Wildcat at home, it's easy to sign up and get going on that. And I think that it'll be a fun collaboration that I hope, again, will lead to some more collaborations with the PTO and thus students at the schools. So we're pretty excited about that. And Sandra did a great job once again of creating a specific Bean Stack challenge to meet that request. And other than that, just things are pretty status quo. We're starting to work on our summer reading program, which is something we've normally do at this time. And again, we don't anticipate that being an in-person program. I mean, we might be able to do a few things in person by the summer outdoors, but we will be focusing primarily on doing a virtual program again this year, with opportunities to pick things up at the window, or if you're coming in for an appointment to browse, you pick your things up then. But other than that, we're just moving along. And that's all I've got today.
All right. The only thing I will say is I like that Bean Stack has an app.
Yeah.
That is my best feature because it's super easy.
I agree that it is. I have my 4 family members on my app, and so I'm able to log their reading. My mom is the primary person I'm logging books for. But it's fun to do, and I kind of get a kick out of it. But yeah, I agree that the app is easy to use.
It just makes it so much easier that you don't have to necessarily log onto a computer. They can, take the app and log their own minutes.
Exactly, right, because that's what the kids can do. So if you download the app, you just basically have to hand it off to them, right? Hand the device off to them, and they do it themselves. And I think they get a kick out of that also.
Exactly. It helps.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any other questions or anything?
Nope.
Okay. Do we want to set the next meeting?
Sounds good. I had been looking at the week of April 12th. Because the week after that is school vacation week, so I was trying to steer clear of that. But the week of April 12th, if that works for you all, on maybe that Tuesday the 13th, that's a possibility.
That works for me. Does that work for everyone else?
Yep.
Believe it does, yes. Yep.
Okay, so we'll say Tuesday, April 13th. Still at noon? Does that still work for everyone?
That would be good.
All right, at noon on Zoom. Okay. So next meeting will be Tuesday, April 13th at noon on Zoom. And if we have no other business, we need a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second it.
All in favor by roll call, Diane,
Oh, aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
Nancy,
Aye.
and myself. Aye. This March 16th, 2021 meeting of the Acushnet Public Library Board of Trustees is officially adjourned. It is 12:52. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Okay.
all. I really appreciate it.
Take care.
Have a good one. Have-
You.